You are listening to the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks. Welcome back to part 2 of our 2021 Auburn football season preview and prediction show. If you want to go back and check out the first part of this, there was general discussion about position-wise and just kind of overall thoughts about how the season might play out. This episode, we're actually talking about game-by-game preview and even predictions.
All right, Jared, it is time to talk about the season. And we've already talked a little bit about, overall, we're kind of thinking, 7, 8, maybe 9 wins in a season. But kind of what are your games that you're going to be focusing on that you know are going to be really tough for Auburn?
The games that are going to be tough for Auburn, you got Penn State, and then you have your usuals, LSU, Georgia, Alabama, Texas A&M, although we own them at Texas A&M. But yeah,
I hope Harsin can continue that.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Your usuals, and then you got to throw in, there's no doubt that Ole Miss has got a really good offense. Are they a good team? I don't know. They're kind of a real hot pick because people like to just do hot picks. So they're the hot choice. Lane is fun to watch and all that, but I don't know if they're a great team. Arkansas really doesn't scare me. I probably should. Arkansas, Miss State, South Carolina. I'm not saying we win those games, but they don't keep me up at night.
Right. Yeah. Same here. I think the top 4 ones, Penn State, LSU, Georgia, Texas A&M, and Bama. I think those are the 5. And if you say lose all 5 of those, then we're 7-5. But if we squeak out, Penn State or, maybe by chance shock one of the other 4, you're at already 8 wins. And if you win 3 of those, you're at 9 wins. And again, I think that's a fantastic season for a first-year coach that's trying to establish, his culture, his offense, and bringing in a guy like Derek Mason and his new defense for this team. I feel like that would be a huge win for us. Let's get into the game. So kind of the format that I've got for us is we're going to talk about each game and then, how each team did previously. And then we'll go into score predictions. We're going to do them just like we usually do for previews. Give who you think's going to win and by the points that you think they're going to win. So, first game, Akron, how much do you think Auburn's going to win by? 17 points or whatever, something like that. So, all right, Jared, let's get into this first one with Akron. So, September 4th, it's a night game, 6 p.m. Central Time. A night game under the lights and with, hopefully, a full stadium. How excited are you to get this Harsin era kicked off with the Akron Zips?
I'm excited. Any first game is exciting, but if you've ever sat in Jordan-Hare Stadium at 12 o'clock or 2 or 3 o'clock in September, even it's hot. So
it's brutally hot.
Yes. Yeah. So 6 p.m. is going to help a little. It still will be sun out, but part of the stadium will be covered and it'll be done by halftime. So the sun will. So yeah, that's exciting. Nighttime, I think the stadium will be full. They'll be able to do the new LED lights and all that. So yeah I'm excited about it. Am I giving my prediction now or?
Yeah, go for it. What do you think the score for the Akron Zips versus Auburn in Jordan-Hare is going to be?
Man, this is one of the craziest first games against a smaller team because I just don't know what we have. I think we'll probably score 42 and, give up 13. So I got Auburn scoring 42.
Nice. Yeah. I think that's a reasonable and, it gets our offense going, gives them some confidence. And hey, we'd win by, 29 points? That's a pretty good score. I'd take that any day. I think right now the line's right around 35 or something around there. I'm gonna say we win by 38 points.
Look at you.
I think our defense is pretty freaking amazing.
Are you channeling? Are you channeling your inner Ben King?
I guess I am. Let's put it this way: the Akron Zips were 1-5 last year in their conference. So
you're saying there's a chance?
There is a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance?
So I'm gonna bump it up to 38. I think we pretty much shut them out. The next one, Alabama State. So this one's going to be September 11th at 11 a.m. Central Time. And last year, Alabama State, they were 3-3. I don't know too much about them. I know their band's always awesome to watch. They're just very entertaining. I think Auburn wins this one pretty big as well. And I think we get even more confidence, especially offensive line. I'd be focusing, I think, on these first two games, seeing how they do, especially with in passing situations. How does the offensive line keep the rushers from coming to them and getting to the quarterback? So I ultimately think we win by 42 points. I think I think we can do it.
I think I'm going to probably say because I'm of the mindset that we're not even going to try, like we're going to run the ball. So I think we probably put up 42. I'm going to put it very similar, 42-10. I think that I just don't think we're going to go out there, not in the very beginning, and just try to sling it around a ton. So yeah, I say 42-10 and take care of business, learn some things from the O-line, and get ready for Penn State. Although I want to clarify earlier in the podcast, I think I said we have 3 games to get ready for Penn State. I forgot Georgia State is after Penn State. So
yeah,
we have 2 games to get ready for Penn State.
Which I still feel like is a good bit, considering teams like Georgia, I think, have to play Clemson first game. Like that's brutal. I mean, Auburn used to do that a lot, where first game of the season, it's a top-notch team. So we get a little bit of a break at the beginning of the season to get our engines, started up, figure things out. So I'm definitely happy about that. Let's move on to the third game. So Penn State's going to be September 18th, and it's going to be a night game, another one at 6:30 Central Time. This is at Penn State. It's going to have 100,000 fans or something crazy. I would love to go. Let's put it that way. I think my parents are going with a few of their friends. I'm very jealous of that. I would love to go to that stadium, especially for a whiteout night game. I mean, that would just be such a cool experience. But I know some about Penn State, but this is the crazy thing. So last year, they started out losing their first 5 games. I think until Thanksgiving, they hadn't won a game.
That's not ideal, is it? I didn't do good in math, but I don't think that's ideal.
And after that point, they won their last 4 games of the season. So they ended up looking at somewhat reasonable, 4-5, but yet somehow they're ranked number 19. Again, why? I don't understand why they're so highly ranked, and yet Auburn isn't, considering Auburn was 6-5 last year. They were 4-5. Auburn's schedule was a lot tougher than Penn State's. But whatever. Again, love the underdog, so don't mind about that. But what's kind of your thoughts on this game and how this might play out?
I'm going to channel my inner Ben King now. It was Ben King, right?
Yeah.
That was the real optimistic. Love you, Ben. I think we win by 10. I think. I think so. Here, I don't want to spoil the rest of the games. The teams that are going to give us issues are the ones that can throw it around, block well enough and they have an elite quarterback. I don't know if Penn State has an elite quarterback. I think that it's going to be a struggle for them to move the ball against our defense, and they may flip around and say the same thing, and they may be very well right. But I'm trusting Tank Bigsby and the O-line to do their job, and I think our defense will cause some issues for them, as is. And outside of bowl games, that usually does happen with SEC teams and Big Ten teams in games that matter. The speed just out. They're surprised by it, I think, and I really think that we're going to be able to win that ball game. I know you disagree.
This is one where I can go 50-50. It's going to be really the first big full game in a hostile environment that these players have played under for the last 2 years. So that's the kind of real fear that I have. And it's new. This is our first real challenge this year with the new offense and defense. So that's why I honestly kind of peg this as a loss. But it wouldn't shock me also if we won this one. I think Penn State probably wins this in a tight one, probably about 3 points or something. Not by much, but if we somehow win, this could be, I mean, a huge win for Auburn, but also kind of one of those that Auburn can build upon, especially, we got LSU two weeks later, and that's going to be tough down in Baton Rouge. Anytime, even if it is a down LSU team, it's a tough LSU environment. So the players, learning from a tough environment, I think it will pay some big dividends. Even if we lose, I don't think it's the end of the world. And really, I mean, I almost think of it as like maybe you could. I mean, I do not like moral victories by any means, but it kind of is one of those like, this is our first trial under Harsin and his new staff, and it'll be a growing experience for sure. Either way,
any player that was here before 2020 will not be fazed by the whiteout. No, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, Penn State's atmosphere is ridiculous and probably second to none. But there's a lot in the SEC that's second to none as well, so they won't be fazed by that. Now we got new receivers, and even Tank hasn't had to face that situation because the situation last year. You would love to think that Bo Nix won't be fazed by it because he went to Florida, to LSU, in 2019, but he has not performed well on the road. But I think that we got a lot of experience on the defensive side that'll be able to probably even get the offensive guys, a little acclimated. Listen, don't be wowed by the crowd, okay? It's a cool thing. It's what college football is all about. And I think it's cool they're doing the whiteout. I mean, it's awesome for them and their fans. But from an on-the-field perspective, if you play in the SEC and you've been to Baton Rouge and Tuscaloosa and all those places, it's it's just another stadium.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that should hopefully be their mindset. And I mean, just think about how loud, the Iron Bowl can get, for example. There's not many environments where it gets much louder.
And I want to be clear, I'm not knocking Penn State at all. I think it's going to be awesome, and I think it's going to be super loud. It's not a knock on them. There's just about 20 teams in America that can create that atmosphere, and probably 10 of them are in the SEC. And so it's something Auburn deals with, on a year in and year out basis.
Yeah. So again, I think this is something, even if we lose, it's going to be a good thing for the guys to experience, especially the freshmen or sophomores that haven't experienced SEC full, full stadiums at that point. So I think this will be a good spot for us to figure things out.
Let me make a real quick point to just show you because as Auburn fans, we can get down on ourselves pretty easy. Just to show you, what Penn State thinks about us. We're unranked, and they have a full season, and they do one whiteout a year, and they're doing it against us. So,
wow.
If you want to know what they think about Auburn, that's what they think about Auburn.
Yeah, they think it's a pretty big game, and ultimately, if they win that game, that sets their trajectory pretty high. I could see them getting into the top 10, and who knows? That could be it. I mean, I hope not for Auburn's sake, but that could be big for them.
Well, I've already said we're going to win by 10. It's not happening, so
Okay, fair.
Yeah, I just made it happen. We're winning by 10. Simple as that.
I love it. Let's move on to the next one with Georgia State. That's going to be our fourth game of the season, and this one's in Jordan-Hare. I love this. We've kind of started to get more teams in Alabama and Georgia that are the smaller teams like Georgia State, Alabama State that we can play, and it doesn't take them, they don't have to fly here. It's not a long trip. And I don't know, I've been loving to see some more of that, within a couple state rivalries going on. So I think this game ultimately is going to be kind of one of those tune-up games after Penn State. We learned some things from Penn State. We apply some things. We get better from it. Whether we win or lose at Penn State, I think we still learn a lot. And that Georgia State game is let's figure things out. Let's tweak things, get it right. So I think that's kind of where this game sits. I think we ultimately win this one pretty big. I think by 30, 31 points, big win. And that kind of leads us into the juggernaut that is the SEC and the next 8 games of just SEC tough schedule. Jared, what's your kind of thoughts on this Georgia State game?
I think could be a little tricky. We win. Let me clarify. But if we beat Penn State, I think it's a tougher game because it's sandwiched in between that emotional high of a big road win and playing LSU. If we lose to them, I think Harsin will be able to refocus the guys. Georgia State's not a pushover. I mean, they've only been, whatever we're calling these things now, 1A. I don't even know, bowl, subdivision. They've only been in our league essentially for about 5, maybe 7 years, but they've made bowl games several times. So to me, they're not the same as Akron and Alabama State. So it's going to be a little tougher, especially sandwiched in between two big games. But I do still think we win pretty, in the end we win kind of going away from it. But, I don't think it's, I think it's probably like, 25 or less we win by.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty reasonable. I mean, 20 to 30 point win over them. I mean, maybe even get some of the second, third stringers in there. I think at this point would be awesome. I mean, ultimately, I don't see us really losing this game. Like,
no, I don't think we lose it. I do think that if we beat Penn State, I think we could sleepwalk through the first half and make us a little nervous.
Yeah, I mean, it could be 14 to 10 or something at half, and you're like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah,
this is not good. And then coach wakes you up at halftime, and you get back out there. But I still think we're at worst 3-1 at this point. At best 4-0. And if we're 4-0, man, we have got a lot going into the next game against LSU down there in Baton Rouge in Death Valley. If we win, let's put it this way. I think if we win against Penn State, we also beat LSU. I think.
This is getting serious. If we do that, if we beat Penn State and LSU, will we be ranked at least like 40th?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, if the AP or whoever votes on that is somewhat competent, which sometimes they're not, but
Cool. I just wanted to know. I didn't know when I'd start seeing us on the ticker at the bottom. Although that's top 25, so 40 wouldn't help. But
yeah, I mean, but maybe if we beat LSU, maybe we might sneak in there.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's only been 22 years since we've beaten LSU or however long it's been. It's forever. Down in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Come on. We're better than this. Like,
I don't know, man. I don't. This one's so hard. I want to say Auburn because I just don't really think LSU. I don't think LSU is better than Auburn right now, if I'm being honest. But it's at LSU, and it really depends on if it's at night. That's going to be harder. I need to see how we play at Penn State, but I think on this one for right now, I think I probably got to say, LSU wins probably by 7 or less.
Yeah, I mean, I think we keep it respectable.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah.
I also think this could be one that we do lose, but it's also kind of like Penn State. If we beat Penn State, like I said, I think we got the momentum and the confidence to beat an LSU team that ultimately last year wasn't that great. They were 5-5, and Auburn beat them. I think it was like 48-11. Like, that is a smothering of, and considering 2 years ago they were the national champions.
It wasn't even that close either. I mean, it was not. 48-11 doesn't even give. I mean, it was a total beatdown.
Yeah, I mean, like Gus Malzahn ordered the smothering covered and gave that to LSU.
He was at Waffle House by halftime.
Yeah, but hey, this is. Let's put it this way. I think the Penn State game will be awesome for Harsin's win, but I think ultimately, like, if he can beat LSU, Harsin is going to be endeared by Auburn fans even more than if he beats Penn State.
Oh, if he goes and beats LSU, they're going to put a statue up. I mean,
he hasn't even completed one season. Here you go, statue.
Yeah, statue. Put it
up. Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, Auburn. I mean, this is one of those. I'm going to say we lose just by 3 points, but again, I could see it by the other way around. We have Anders Carlson out there, kicks a winning field goal. But, I mean, it's going to be a tough one either way. Let's move on to the Georgia game. So, Jared, this is the 6th game of the season? I'm still not used to it, having Georgia so early in the season. Are you used to it yet?
No, not at all. It probably take many years for me to get used to it, but still holding out hope that change will end the kind of losing streak, so to speak, we have against them.
Right.
Did not help last year, but yeah, it's hard to get used to the beginning of the year on this one.
Yeah, and the good thing is we got them back at Auburn in Jordan-Hare, and I'm really hoping this one is another night game, because the Deep South's oldest rivalry or Iron Bowl that's at night, there's something just a little special about that. So if it happens and it's a night game, I give us an edge. I mean, not only at home, but like we've got an edge because we've got. I mean, my sister, who's a senior this year, she was talking about she got to go to most of the games last year, and the 20% filled up stadiums, and she was just like, it wasn't the same. Like, it was not even close because all of the students had to be spread out throughout the stadium. There wasn't a true student section. And to now have a true student section, I think that makes the difference. I think that makes the difference for us beating Georgia. And I ultimately think we're going to beat them. And it's going to, I think I think we squeak out a win, but it's still a win. And ultimately right now, Georgia is ranked number 5 in the nation. They probably sit around there unless something, I mean, even if they lose to, Clemson, I don't think they drop that far. Like, Clemson's going to be a good team again this year. So it would be a very good quality win. So I'm going to say we win it by 3. What's your thoughts on it, Jared?
This is going to blow my 8-win prediction. I think we win it as well. I'm looking down the list. I'm like, how do we lose 4? Because I got us losing 4. I think we beat Georgia. Georgia is recruiting on the same level as Alabama, and they've had Auburn's number, but they really haven't had anybody else's number. So they're kind of still missing that, whatever it is to always win.
Mm-hmm.
We feel like they are because they've been beating us pretty good. There's no denying that. But they'll lose to South Carolina. They're probably starting to split with Florida again. They can't beat Alabama. So, I mean, Georgia's a beatable team. We just have to get that mindset off of our back that they're not. A new coaching system. Yeah, I think you're right. Being at home, I wouldn't predict us to win at Athens, but being at home, I think we find a way to win that ball game.
That's what I'm hoping. I mean, do you think it's going to be a closer game? Do you think
Yeah, I don't think we pull a 2017 Auburn Georgia game where we beat them pretty bad. I think it's close. And honestly, when we beat teams like that, it usually is for us. It's very rare we blow them out because the reality is right now we are at a deficit from 5-star players. So when we beat teams like that, it's usually due to coaching decisions in the game, and it's not usually a blowout.
Yeah, and one thing I was thinking about specifically with coaching, I feel like Kirby Smart's defense knew how to stop Gus Malzahn's offense.
That's true.
And we got a different offense, like a completely different offense here. So I think that kind of surprise element of he doesn't know Harsin's offense, has never played against it. Yeah, I'm sure at that point you're going to have some game footage of Harsin's offense at Auburn and Bobo's too. But I think you got a good shot. And Bobo, he coached at Georgia too. I know, like, it doesn't, their tenures didn't line up, but I think that I don't know. I give us the edge a little bit.
I think the only thing you'd have to worry about as far as knowing each other, I think was Bobo was South Carolina last year, right?
Yes.
And Georgia hired Will Muschamp as an analyst. So that would be the only thing there. But I don't think that's. I mean, it's a Bobo Harsin mix here. So I think you're right. I think a lot of people knew Gus's offense, and Gus's offense worked when he had the offensive line. Like, it didn't matter if you knew it or not. If he didn't have the offensive line, it really mattered if you knew it. So
right.
It is going to be a different team that they're going to face. It's going to be at home. It'll be, think about it. I mean, there's going to be pent-up energy of a year and a half by the fans because this is the first big game since 2019 in Jordan-Hare. So it might be the loudest you've ever heard, honestly, because it's, like I said, all the LSU and Penn State are on the road. So we're now 6 games into 2021, and that's our first true home game that matters.
Yeah, I think, honestly, the fans are what pushes it over the edge for me. So that's where I'm kind of giving us the edge.
Hey, Auburn fans, I want to take a quick timeout from this episode to bring your attention to something very special. Here at the E2C Network, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best content for Auburn fans out there. And best of all, it's free to you. But just because it's free doesn't mean there aren't costs, especially when you have a library of hundreds of podcasts, videos, blogs, and more. Many of you have reached out and asked how you can support this network in the past. Well, now I have your answer. It's called the E2C Network Booster Club over at patreon.com/E2C Network. There you'll find a membership monthly reward system where you can sign up for as little as $1 and get different perks at different tiers. Some of those perks include things such as apparel, eligibility to join us on future podcasts, recognition as an E2C Network booster, exclusive communications, and bonus content that is available nowhere else. If you love this network and want to help us keep producing podcasts like this one, please head on over to patreon.com/E2C Network to join the E2C Network Booster Club. You can also get there by going to our website, e2cnetwork.com/support. Whether you decide to join or not, we are still so appreciative that you would support us by just listening and being here, because each and every one of you is part of our E2C Network family. Well, that's it. Timeout's over. Let's get back into the episode.
The next game, our 7th game of the season, is at Arkansas. And over there, I call it Walmart land because mostly I feel like I may be shocked, maybe under Sam Pittman as head coach over there, but usually I feel like there's more people in the Walmarts in Arkansas than there are in the stadium at an Arkansas game. I mean, it's just usually pretty sad. But we'll see. We'll see what Sam Pittman can do. He's got some fight that I feel like he gives that Arkansas team, but is the fight enough to beat a talented team like Auburn? I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. I mean, let's put it this way: last year Arkansas finished 3-7. Their last 4 games they lost. So they got some struggling going on at the end of the season. And Auburn, I mean, at this point, I think we got a pretty decent record. Either we're like 5-2, or 5. Or what did it be, like 4-2, or like maybe 5-1, something like that coming into this game. Like I feel like we've got pretty good odds and at least some confidence going into this one to beat them. I think we beat them by like 10 points. I don't think it's going to be a blowout like Gus Malzahn loves to do against Arkansas, but I think we beat them, and I think we do it pretty well. Jared, what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I don't really have much to add other than what you said. I mean, I think Pittman is a better coach than most thought. He's going to have them ready to fight, but I'm with you. I think 10-14. Go down there, take care of business. So yeah, I think we win that ball game.
Yeah, I think we do as well. Any score predictions or anything for that one?
I'll play it safe and say we win by 10.
I mean, I think that's safe. I mean, if we win by more, I'd love it. But I think 10's a good score. So that kind of, finishes up, I call it like the first half of the season. And then we finally get a bye week, after 7 games of competition this season. And this one is going to be much needed. I mean, I can already tell you, like, the guys are going to need some rest. And this will be a good tune-up week for anything going on. Well, how do we fix it? Because the last 5 games, I mean, okay. So we got Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, South Carolina, and Bama. I think ultimately Auburn can win, probably 2, 3. I don't know, like 3 of those for sure, and then like the 4th one with Texas A&M, maybe. I mean, it is like you mentioned, it's at Texas A&M. So I don't know. What's your thoughts on it? We'll talk about the first one, Ole Miss. So this one's going to be the day before Halloween. So I wonder if their fans or something, or our fans are going to get dressed up. I feel like they sometimes do. It's around Halloween. Usually there's some fun that goes on around that. But I mean, I've been hearing a lot of buzz. Have you been hearing a lot of buzz around Ole Miss? And this is Lane Kiffin. This is he's going to put up a lot of points. Like, he's going to be competitive with everybody. And have you been hearing that kind of buzz around them?
Yeah. I mean, Ole Miss runs into the problem with when they play us that we run into when we play Bama and Georgia. I mean, they're going to be they're going to be outmanned as far as like star level, and that usually wins out. So I don't think they win. I mean, they're fun to watch. They sling it around, but I mean, their quarterback, I guess everybody's forgotten that's on the train. I mean, he would have games where he threw 6 interceptions. So he's fun. He's kind of like Jameis Winston in the NFL. He may throw 6 touchdowns in a game, but he also may throw 6 picks. Like you don't know what you're going to get. He's fun. They sling it around. I think it's entertaining football. And I know they almost beat Alabama, but I mean, Ole Miss, even when they had the coach before this, two coaches ago, they got fired. They did beat Alabama and almost beat Alabama those years too. But it doesn't mean they went on to have a great season. So I'm not totally sold on Ole Miss. I think we probably win by 10 or more being at home. Could be high scoring, but I'm not sold on them coming into Jordan-Hare and beating us.
Yeah. It's one of those, I could see it go both ways where Ole Miss just scores more than us. But I'd like to think, this is, 8th game of the season. We figured something out on offense. Whether it's just, we're going downhill, running the ball all the time, or like we start to spread it out a little bit. We still run the ball a lot, but, wide receivers are getting their legs under them and catching more, getting more consistent against good competition. I mean, I think this is probably a closer game than we hope, but I still think we win. I mean, I think we probably win by like 3 to 7 points, something like that. A lot closer than we hoped, but I think ultimately Ole Miss, they can be an explosive team, and if they get a few big plays and score some big touchdowns, they're going to keep it close with us. And Lane Kiffin, he knows how to put up some points when he needs to. Do you think it's going to be a close game? Like, is that kind of what you're thinking? Or do you think we might even like win by like 10, 14 points, something like that?
I think we win by 10, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm leaning towards, 3 to 7. But if we win by 10 against Ole Miss, man, that gives you even more confidence going into the next game against Texas A&M in College Station out there in Texas. It's been one of those weird anomalies where we tend to win. We've won out there. I think, is it every year? Is the streak still going? Is that right? I think it is.
I think it is too. I don't think they've beaten us there. Yeah, there was a time where it was every away team, but then Gus won a few at home. So yeah,
right.
Although interestingly enough, many even I saw recently an overall national article wrote about how when things fell apart for Gus, and it was that 2014 game against them where we were driving to come back, and I call it the butt fumble, where our center snapped it like he was under center and Nick Marshall was not. So I think that was against A&M at home. We lost that game. That kind of after that, we never really regained our offensive swagger. Yeah. But I digress. I mean, essentially, I gotta say we lose some games. I don't want to. I do not like Jimbo Fisher.
Me either. Especially how we the whole Jameis Winston crap that went down in 2013.
Yeah, he kind of whines a little bit too. And honestly, to me, last year they were just okay. They just happened to they didn't make mistakes. They were very solid.
Right.
And they were playing a weird season, so a lot of people that weren't solid were making a bunch of mistakes, and they just didn't make mistakes. They don't scare me, but I think we probably lose the game because it's out there.
Yeah, I mean, they did go 9-1, but it was like the most boring 9-1 I've ever seen in my life.
It really was, and I think they got handled by Bama. They didn't really put up a threat against Bama, and I've said this on about 10 podcasts, but I mean, I don't know what happened to us in the fourth quarter. We had the game. And honestly, if was it Roger McQuarrie or Jacoby McLean, if they intercept one, and nothing against them, this is not an easy job, but if they, one goes literally right through their hands on a drive, that nobody was catching him. I mean, if not only do we stop their touchdown drive, we probably get a pick six.
Right.
And
that's
we win that
14-point swing.
Yeah, we win that ball game. So, I mean, and that was towards the end of to me, they don't scare me, but it's on the road. It's a big, huge environment, as I know Penn State and all them are. So being on the road, I'm pretty much picking us to lose the road games right now, other than Penn State.
I think that's pretty reasonable. I mean, Texas A&M right now ranked number 6. Yeah, I think they're maybe a little bit higher ranked than they should be. But if they, somebody said, oh, they're ranked number 12, I'd be like, okay, cool. That sounds about right. So I know their competition, like it's Texas. Like, for goodness sakes, Texas has tons of football talent. Like, it's just breathing. Just everybody out there is really good. So I know their amount of talent there is really good. But, yeah, again, I think we lose by like 7. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if we lost by 7. It's all right. Like, we move on, and we take on Mike Leach and his air raid offense the next game. But we come back home, and anytime we come back home, again, like I'm coming back to this. Like, when we come back home, I think there's going to be a difference level of the fans being there and just getting super excited. The team gets excited because they haven't gotten to experience it last year. So, I mean, I think we win against Mike Leach. Even though I was looking at one of his stats, and one thing, under his first year when he's installing the air raid, he doesn't score many points. Like, it's like 20 points or something. I'm just kind of throwing out a number. But then the next year, it's a significant jump. It's like 30 points or something on average. So, like, there's a significant bump in every year, that second year when he gets better. So I do expect Mississippi State to be better. Do I think they're good enough to beat us at home? I don't think so. I think Auburn wins, and I think we probably win by like 10 points. Jared, what's kind of your thoughts on Mike Leach, in his second year at Mississippi State and that game?
I think we win. I think we win by 14. I just think that I know that Leach, I can't say his name. Mike Leach has had a lot of success. I like the guy, but I think one-dimensional offenses just don't fare well in the SEC when you're playing real high-caliber defenses, which I think Auburn is. I don't think our offense is right now. I think our defense is. I just don't think, I don't think they're going to score enough. I think we'll win by 14. I think they'll be better this year, and I think they will probably put up points against some of the other, teams in the SEC, but they're not going to put up points against defenses like Bama, Auburn, Georgia, LSU, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, I think Mississippi State's first game last year was against like LSU, and LSU I think that was the game. Do you remember?
It was. Yeah, they broke a record. Their quarterback broke a touchdown record in the SEC. Total fluke, just a weird game, and I think the LSU found out right before the game they weren't going to have TJ Stingley, whatever his name is.
Stingley,
the stud secondary guy. So not an excuse to give up the points they did, but they also probably came in with this. Oh, we just won a national championship. We're going to roll right in and roll over everybody. And,
right.
Yeah, that was not the case.
No, I mean they got woken up quick by that.
That will not happen again. Not in my opinion.
No,
I
don't think so either. Let's finish out the last couple games of the season. So we've got South Carolina at South Carolina. South Carolina last year. I honestly had Arkansas not even really winning a game last year, but yet they won 3. South Carolina, however, I thought they'd be all right. And then Will Muschamp, his head coaching gigs. I mean, whoever hires him as a head coach, bad decision. Bad decision. I mean, I don't think I think he should kind of settle in to a defensive coordinator position and just kind of that's his thing. Like, I don't think he's a good head coach in my opinion. Like, and South Carolina was wise for getting him out.
He's a great D coordinator. I don't blame South Carolina for giving him one more shot, but yeah, at this point, I think he's proven that he probably needs to stay in the coordinator role. He's a really good defense coordinator.
Yeah, I think so too. How much do you think Auburn wins by? Because
I think 14. I think at home, and we're gonna have a little bit of redemption on our mind. Bo, hopefully he doesn't try to do too much, but Bo, didn't have a good game, so he's gonna want to get any. If he's on a roll, he's gonna put up the points because he's gonna want to kind of make amends for last year against them.
Right.
So, yeah, I think we'll win by 14.
Yeah, I mean, I think of last year's South Carolina game as kind of like the huge black eye that was, 2020, and Auburn's going to have some grudge out against South Carolina. The players are going to remember, just how poorly that game went, and think about, we need to come back. We need to win.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be enough motivation for that one. I think we do okay there.
All right, let's finish out with the Iron Bowl against Alabama. It is in Jordan-Hare. I'm thinking either, the 2:30 or like a 6 o'clock time slot, either one of those. If I had to bet, it's going to be a night game because how awesome that would be. Again, and under those lights, the LED show that, my sister who was able to go to some of the games last year was just talking about how incredible that is. Like, it is a true fun experience. Like, so any fan that gets to go to a night game, highly suggest it, based on what my sister had said. And I've heard plenty of other people say the same thing. It's just a blast. The sound system's going synced up with the LED lights. It just looks really cool even from the TV, and I'm not even there.
I'm excited to see it in person.
Yeah. But hey, it's Bama. It's a tough game just because Alabama, we've mentioned it, always gets the high recruits. They have a quarterback that still doesn't have a start. He did get some play time, last year, but he didn't start any. And I want to see how he handles the pressure of becoming the starting quarterback for Bama. And he's also got NIL stuff. According to Saban, he got over $1 million.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? That's crazy. And you still haven't even been a starter. But it sounds like Bama has some faith in him. And, we know their team just overall, it's one of those just reload every year. So I expect this to be, again, a tough one. I think we do keep it kind of close, but ultimately I think Bama's going to beat us. As much as I'd love it, I just can't see us winning this one. Even if we've done well, I still think Bama's going to beat us. And I think we lose by 10 points and keep it somewhat respectable. What's your thoughts on this year's Iron Bowl with Harsin getting to experience really his true, first big Iron Bowl rivalry?
Yeah, it's going to be cool for Harsin. I think as far as the game goes, I think we probably lose too, just because I got to start picking us to lose some games. But, here's the reality. You could make the argument this team is better suited to beat them at home than 2019, and we won 2019. If Bo Nix is the quarterback at that point, that means he's had a decent season. He beat them as a true freshman. He did not have Tank Bigsby behind him. Really, the only difference would be we don't have Seth Williams. And that 2019 beat maybe Bama's most loaded team ever. The receivers they had and the quarterback that may be the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots as a rookie, that guy was their quarterback. So I think it's possible we could win that game, but I'm going to say we lose, and I'm going to say 3 points.
3 points. So you're thinking it's going to be like a field goal, something close like that.
Yeah, I think it'll be close. Which puts me at 9-3. I don't think we win 9 games. So, it's kind of funny how that works. You go game by game.
But I think you're thinking, if we kind of isolate, and this is kind of what we do, we kind of isolate a lot of times the game. And we're thinking, in a bubble, we can win those. And that's we're kind of thinking optimistically about this. Realistically, some of these games, for all we know, I would hate it, but like somebody like Arkansas, shocks us. It can happen.
Yeah,
or
without a doubt.
Ole Miss beats
Ole Miss,
us.
Yeah, without a doubt, it could happen, and we could win some. We picked us to lose. So, it's I think the talent's there to essentially beat almost all these teams in a one game. So we'll just have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of my thoughts on it. Like, I think again, I come back to this. We got to set the expectations of this is going to be a first-year staff for Auburn. I think we still should have the expectation of like the floor. If we only win 6 games, it's an okay year. But if we are able to squeak out some of those bigger, like a Georgia, LSU, Penn State, maybe even Texas A&M, and we win 1 or 2 of those, that's when I think this year, especially for the coaches and the players, the momentum for building this program under Bryan Harsin really could start taking off. And when you start winning those bigger games, that's going to help. Harsin's already kind of been criticized for recruiting not getting enough recruits. Well, recruiting is one of those things where you want to show the product on the field, and then talk to the players. Say, hey, if you come here, look at I can fit you in this spot. They haven't been able to put a product on the field yet. I think after this season, it's going to help a lot if we put out a good product on the field, which I ultimately think, especially defense, we're going to be able to do. Offensively, running game, I think is going to be a strong suit. So, yeah, I'm excited for this.
I'll personally end with this. We forget Harsin. It was Boise, no doubt. He's the active third winningest coach in college football right now. So he's not hurting from confidence from that. And regardless of where you play, his blueprint won against equal competition where he was at. Can his blueprint win with equal competition here?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the way I'm thinking about it. Like, he knows how to win, and I feel like that's a key, especially when you're going up some really tough competition. Do you know how to win? And there's a mentality behind that. And if you're able to win, that kind of translates anything in life and any grade of competition. It's a mindset. So if he can instill that in these players, that could be the big success for this team.
Well, and his mentor was the Peterson guy, I think, that went to Washington, who just retired, and now their athletic director. And there wouldn't be many schools in the country that would have turned him down if he showed interest in their school. He was the one that he got Boise really on the map. And Harsin learned under him. I think they are still in constant communication. So, yeah, Harsin knows how to win. Doesn't mean you always will, but right. he knows the process and blueprint. We'll see, how that pans out in the SEC.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Jared, before we get out of here, how can the people stay in touch with you?
Yeah, you can just find me on Facebook under my name, Jared Davis.
And you can find me on Twitter at @JAY_. It's always great to be an Auburn Tiger. And War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on the E2C Network. On your way out, I want to remind you to stop by e2cnetwork.com. It's your one-stop shop for all our content across our podcast, YouTube channel, and much more. To stay up to date with us, make sure you're following social media accounts such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. While our content here may always be Auburn sports heavy, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. War Eagle.